Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the dissolution of ionic salts in water. So here in this cup, I have some water, and right here, this represents a crystal of salt, like table salt that you have in your kitchen. Now we're going to take this crystal of salt, we're going to put it in the water, and it's going to dissolve. Now when you look at this at the macro scale, the salt seems to disappear. But what's happening on the micro scale? In other words, what's happening at the particle level? Well, first we need to know what salt, a crystal of salt, looks like at the particle level. So it has, or it's made up of ions. So we have sodium ions here in orange, and then we have chloride ions in purple. So what you have here in this crystal is alternating ions that make up this crystal of salt. All right, so you have these alternating sodium and chloride ions, and that's because the ions are charged. You have positives and negatives, and as you know, opposites attract. So that's what this crystal looks like before we put it in the water. Now, what does the water look like on a particle level? Well, we have molecules of water, which are made up of oxygen atoms and hydrogen atoms. Remember that these molecules you have on one side where the hydrogens are, it is partially positive. This right here is a partial symbol. That's all it means. It means partially. It's not fully positive, just a little bit positive. Okay. Then on the other side where the oxygen is, it's partially negative. Okay, so in this cup of water, we have millions of these molecules of water. So when we take this crystal of salt and we dissolve it or place it in the water, it dissolves. What does that mean? Well, because these molecules are partially negative, partially positive, they rip apart these ions. So what ends up happening is that you have the positive sodium ions attracted to the negative side of the water molecule. And then you have the negative, I bet you can guess, the negative chloride ions attracted to the positive ends. So the sodium and the chloride ions are no longer together in a crystal form. Only outside of the water, if you evaporate all the water, will it go back into this crystal form. When you put it in water and it dissolves, to you at the macro scale, it looks like it disappears. When it dissolves, this is what's happening at the particle level. We have these water molecules with one end negative, partially negative, and one end partially positive, and they rip apart this crystal structure. They rip apart the ions so that the ions are no longer together, and thus you cannot see them anymore.